Nemo, you just got back from, well, not just, was actually a few days ago from your youth retreat in a different area, but on the way back, there was an accident. Tell us about that. We had people praying. I want them to hear it from you firsthand. What happened?
One motorcycle, there were two motorcycles. So one was coming behind a trailer and one was just coming off to overtake our van. And so our van was really trying to avoid hitting the oncoming one. So it swerved a bit, it moved a little bit on the shoulder of the road, but the space was not enough because this other motorbike also moved to the same side. So they rolled, and then the van went on one side and it skidded quite a distance. And one of our trainers got his skin because the window broke off. So his skin was uh, with the tarmac, next to the tarmac. So it really got he really got a very bad bruise. The rest, my daughter and my son were in the car. So Neema her knee got injured and she had tissue injuries, but the rest of the members were okay, a little bit shaken up. So we are checking up on each other, encouraging one another. And Japheth, the one whose hand got hurt, he's really getting better. And one of the encouraging things he has told us is he keeps asking, so when is the next mission? And we're just telling him, like, first heal, then we can think about that. So our our emotions, we are keeping them in check and not taking the route of what if, because of course it could have been worse and God knew all about it even before we left the field. It was raining, we got stuck, we had to cross through seasonal rivers, but we made it and there was impact with the youth. So we thank God for that, and we thank God for the prayers, and we thank for everyone who has checked on us. Uh, just like the last message Bob, you sent me to encourage me and said, God knew about it. It was in the mind of God. But at the end of the day, it is the testament that his faithfulness and his mercy and his grace will carry us all through. So all the prayer requests that we send beforehand, it's not in vain. They actually do work, and the protection and the hand of God is with the team. So for all who pray for us, know that it's not in vain, that God actually hears and he keeps his eye on us. And for this one, we'll just say the devil was late. God was in check and was already ahead. Yeah.
Okay, well, tell us about the youth retreat. How many youth were there?
We had about 60 to 80 by the time we finished on the third day. The weather was not really on our side. So we had evening rainfall and a bit early morning, but during the day it will clear. So we'll pass through the paddles to get there. But the youth were really encouraged and we covered different topics. And when they had the revival, one of the encouraging testaments we got from on the third day was that from the 2 days we had been there were youth who got born again. They received salvation. So for us, that's a big plus from the seeds that we had planted during the day, that at night when they had their revival, something good came out of it. And 24 of them received salvation. So it's a big win.
24 of the 60 some received salvation?
Yes.
Wow. And tell us some of the topics you went over.
We went through self-awareness because they are in the age where they are still discovering themselves, where we have said before that culture and tradition is really high in this area, but now they're getting exposure because of school, going to different counties and realizing that life is different from what they are used to. But how do they deal with the exposure that they have gotten in the different areas and the different counties in the country? How do they relate with other people? Talking about godly relationships, even when they go to school, who are they interacting with? Are they being given good values with the people who they're interacting with? Are they building their own character? Are they being good friends? Are they still preaching Christ even with the things that they do and all that? We talked about sexual purity, staying pure, because again, they have been exposed to different things, especially the girls, because of their menses. And we, as delivering dignity, have come in handy, trying to save the girls from early marriages, early pregnancies, and helping them keep them in school. And the rate of absenteeism and school retention has really increased. There's a positive effect just from the one pack of sanitary towels. So they're not being exposed to prostitution so that they can get 100 shillings or 50 shillings so that they can get just a packet of pads that for that 1 month it's over and done with. So, but what do they do the other month? And for the delivering dignity towels, because it's a reusable, they can use the pack for 1 to 2 years, depending on how well they clean it and keep it safe. So that is a plus for us, because out of the schools we visited, even through January, when we just went to get feedback, there was positive feedback even from the teachers that in 2023, out of the the 5 schools we visited, they didn't have any teen pregnancies, which has not been heard of
Wow.
in a very long time. So for us, that's a big plus. And the teachers
Why do you
now,
say, hold
again,
on, sorry, why do you say 1 to 2 years? Do the materials that you sew with not last? Because we say 3 to 5.
why we say that, because again, the weather down in the Maasai, it's really hot. So the plastic really, sometimes because of the washing and all that, it might take up to 3 years. And that's why I said, depending on the use and the care, because it depends from girl to girl again. We give the instructions and all that, but at the same time, we have to also look at the environment which they are in. Maybe out there in different environments, it might actually take the 3 to 5 years. But for this environment, we say between 1 to 3 years is when it will last for them with the pack before they could get another one.
And is that with the material that I brought over for you? Or was this with the plastic that you buy there in Nairobi?
So this is with the local plastic that we get in Nairobi. The ones that we did with the plastic that you brought for us, they will actually last longer, because the plastic is really hard, but at the same time, easy to clean and comfortable for them, even for them to play and just move around. And it does not have any burning effects in their private parts and all that, because that was one of a complaint even from the pads that we get from the shops, because of all the chemicals and all that. So again, this is a plus health-wise and for their reproductive system.
So you're trying to change an entire people. You're trying to get a future generation to think differently. How this is a brand new area that you've worked with. You've got a brand new set of youth. How did they respond to the teaching?
When we did when we did 1 degree off, is when they realized that everything does not have to be about me. I can actually sit down and think about others, and how do I change our community. The information that I get, one of the statements that Debbie really uses is, be a pipe and not a bucket. So with the information that we shared through the youth conference, how are they going to translate and use it with their friends in school, in the villages, at homes, for the people maybe who didn't come, even with their parents, to just help them see through a different lens, because the worldviews are really different. And with the youth and the generation of their parents, they are looking at things through different lenses. And we are trying to change that narrative with the youth right now, because they are the next generation. The older generation is slowly getting older, and as life will have it, we go resting, and one generation is changed, but we want to change the narrative with positivity, with them having godly character, with them having a generation where even FGM becomes a thing that is not heard of. Like girls can stay in school, like girls can really be who God created them to be, and every part of their body, as God placed it in there, it has a purpose and a reason.
Okay, you've done other youth retreats in other places. Have you brought some of those, Timothy, some of those disciples with you to train in this new area or not?
One of the youths in Patmaru, he actually attended some of them, 3 of them attended the youth seminar that we had at Matapato. And so even when we just had a recap, can you remember what we discussed the last time? And they shared, and for us, they actually had their notes and they read them out to their peers, and they shared and they were like, I was transformed because I can be able to see the seeds that were invested in us. You can see that when he stood up to speak, there was a confidence, there was a boldness in him, there was owning the message, and just him telling the youth, let us just listen to them, let us take everything seriously as they share, because it will help us one day, because not every single day these people will be here with us. But if we get this and grasp the message, we will be able to share it even with the youth, just not from the Baptist churches alone, but they can go to AIC, they can go to the Presbyterian church, the other churches that are there, there's a Catholic church, they can be able to share the message with them, and it will transform and impact their generation. So they are owning the message, they are owning their narratives, and they are courageous enough to say, we don't understand this. How can you help us, or what is it that we can do to be able to be better and to grow better in the way that God wants us to be?
Okay, good job. Yeah, the accident, surprising, didn't take God by surprise, but glad everybody is well. And when's your next trip?
Our next trip is in May, the second week of May, and it is a discipleship for women. But as always, the men always tag along, so they are very welcome.
Okay, very good.